Hi, I'm Scott, not from this channel, but I am the brother of Julie Nordine. If you're watching this video, hopefully you know who Julie is, and if you don't, you're going to get to know her in this video. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Scott.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
So Julie is visiting us in North Carolina, which is why we are not in her shop, so we're going to have to use a little bit of imagination, but You've already put out a bunch of videos on YouTube. If you want to see Julie in action, you should absolutely check out her channel. But I guess the big question is, who's Julie Nordine? Who are you?
Who am I?
Yes, that was the same question. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live? Tell us about your family.
Okay, I live in Credit River, Minnesota. I am a mother of 2 grown boys and a sweet little granddaughter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah?
Yeah, 2 grown boys, married. Been married for 33 years, 34 years.
In a row?
In a row, yes. And I'm happy.
Well, good.
I like.
Where's Credit River?
Credit River is south of Minneapolis.
Okay.
Not too far.
And you've been there for quite a long time, right?
30 years.
30 years, wow. All right, so let's talk about the reason your channel exists is you make glass beads, which I know that's weird.
I do.
When I first heard about this years ago, I'm thinking, you know, like the little beads that come from China or wherever they were coming from 30 years ago or whatever. You've only been doing this for like 20 years, not even 20?
16.
Not even 20.
Yeah, not even 20.
So what is a glass bead and what's that all about?
My glass beads?
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so let's say I don't know what it is.
Okay,
hey,
sure.
we talked in advance, what could this video possibly be and who's it for? And it's for several different kinds of viewers, but some are people that are interested in making glass beads. Some are people that are interested in your glass beads. So maybe they've come here because of an article or something else, right? Seen you at a show.
Right.
So just in general, I mean, you call yourself a lamp worker?
Lamp worker, a glass bead artist.
Glass bead artist. So what, I mean, tell us first, what do these beads look like that you make?
Some, people can make just round beads that are very basic.
Right.
I tend to have more sculptural type beads. I do lots of nature inspired beads, owls and acorns and trees and things like that. I also do a lot of hearts.
Cowboy boots.
Cowboy boots, things like that.
Okay, so when I think beads, or initially thought beads, my head went to little round beads. But you've gone far beyond that.
Right.
Okay. And then how do you, just layman terms, how do you go about making one of these beads? Are you pouring molten glass into a mold?
No.
Poking a hole through a round ball of glass? I mean, what do you do?
So I use a stainless steel rod.
Are we imagining a stainless steel rod?
We are, a stainless steel rod
Okay.
that is covered in a bead release, which is kind of like kiln shelf solution to keep, never mind. But yeah, anyway.
So it's something
release,
to keep it from sticking?
Keep it from sticking. So if I were to make it permanently, if I were to make it right on that stainless steel rod, you couldn't get it off.
Okay.
The glass will stay. So we use a bead release.
And this mandrel is something that's spinning.
I'm spinning it
You're spinning it.
I'm spinning it to keep gravity from dragging my molten glass. So I've melted a glass rod, about pencil size thickness, in my torch, which is mounted on my bench,
and
facing away
from you.
Facing away from me. Yes, that's important.
Something that lamp workers learned a long time ago.
Yes,
the earliest lamp workers learned that, yeah.
Yes, facing away from me. And you're just trying to get your glass to a honey consistency, basically, and you're wrapping it around your rod, around your mandrel, and you're spinning.
So you're heating just part of this glass rod. You're not heating the entire glass
just the
rod.
tip.
Just the
tip. And you're keeping everything warm in your flame.
The mandrel staying warm.
Mandrel staying warm. The mandrel has to be warm, otherwise it doesn't stick.
Okay.
So it doesn't stick to the mandrel and it doesn't stick to itself. So you're keeping everything warm. You're keeping everything moving, because if you stop, gravity works against you.
Sure.
So you're keeping things moving. And everything that you see in my beads, all the different colors, is different layers of glass that have been added, shaped with tools.
Are you thinking about? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead here, but do you think about those layers? I mean, if you know you're going to make a bead that's a 1/2 inch in diameter, are the lower layers just some scrap glass, or do they contribute to what you're building up? Or
I tend to have a clear core, so the interiors of my beads are clear because it's an inexpensive glass. The glass that I use is from Double Helix, and it's a manufacturer in America, and it is extremely expensive.
Oh.
Compared to Italian glass, it's about 10 times as expensive as Italian glass.
Why would we be using 10 times more expensive glass than Italian glass?
The colors that I can achieve.
Okay.
And
so then this
they're heavy.
Clear core, what is that?
The clear core is just the basic clear from Italy.
From Italy, okay.
Mostly from Italy. And it's filling up some space so that I don't have to fill that entire bead with the expensive glass. So the expensive glass is only on the exterior surface, just a very thin layer. So if you were to break it open or cut it open, you would see clear on the inside.
So like a jawbreaker.
Sort of.
This is that what was that candy that we used to eat as kids? That's like the sweet tart core of a jawbreaker.
Sure.
Always disappointed when I got to the center, or what I thought was I'm getting close to the center, and all of a sudden it's a sweet tart.
Not a Tootsie Pop.
What a ripoff! Not Tootsie Pop. Okay, so then you've made this bead, which we can talk about in some detail, and we'll share some pictures and video at some point. But what do you do with that? So the bead is now built up on the mandrel. You've done some things to make it interesting, different glass and different effects. Then what do? You scrape it off the mandrel and put it on Etsy, or what?
No, I have a basically a 940 degree kiln sitting beside me as I work.
Kiln is an oven, basically.
As an oven, yeah, 940 degrees.
To hot oven.
Hot, and I've just made an extremely hot bead, over 2,000 degrees. You know, so I can take, if I left that bead out to cool or to cool just air cool, it would crack within minutes. It would crack.
So the exterior would become
too much
hard,
stress.
and then
too much stress. So the kiln helps keep it hot and helps it relieve stress. And it's sitting beside me as I'm working throughout the day. It's called garaging. So it's keeping that temperature, 940 degrees. Some lamp workers keep it at 950, 960. Mine is 940 for the colors that I work with. It's just better for those colors. And after I'm done, I hit a few buttons, and it gradually, over about 7 hours, brings it down to room temperature.
So this is like if you were to have glass cut at a glazer, drilled some holes for a shower door, for example, they have to put it in a kiln to temper it.
Sure.
And then they bring the temperature down. Oh, it's like tempering chocolate, too.
Yeah. If you just do air temperature, it doesn't anybody.
Okay, so the people that are watching this who know everything about this think I'm an idiot, and then there's 2 people that learned something there.
Maybe.
And that's all. I'm here for you.
Okay.
So then we say beads. You've gone so far beyond beads, but before we get there, how did you get started with this? What was it when did you first see somebody working with a lamp and a piece of glass?
I was taking a pottery class with my son at an art center, and walked by a room where they were making glass beads on these torches that I later found out were called hotheads. And they were making beads. I was just fascinated watching them do this. And I went home and Googled and learned everything I possibly could about glass bead making, and became pretty obsessed with it. And that was fall of 2006. I got some books about it for Christmas and a class. My husband bought me a class. And that January 2007, I started an 8-week class in an art center.
Did you have any equipment when you started?
No.
Okay.
No, you go to the class and they usually have everything that you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
An 8-week class.
8-week class.
And then, I'm sorry, I'm imagining this because I've stood at like amusement parks. Kings Island is one where there are people that are melting glass rods and making like sailing ships and things. Is it like that in any way? I mean, they're heating up glass and they're sticking it to something.
It's a totally different kind of glass, I think.
Is it?
I've never really looked into that.
Because they're not putting it in a kiln either. Yeah.
It's all clear. It's probably borosilicate, which is a completely different type of glass. It's called a hard glass.
It's like some Pyrex.
Where mine is a soft glass.
Okay.
It's made from soda ash or soda something.
Soda ash, yeah.
Soda ash.
Yeah, also some Pyrex. Familiar with the YouTube channel How to Cook That?
I am not.
Ann Reardon is the gal's name.
Okay.
And she teaches people how to cook things.
Okay.
Right? But she's kind of found two niches. One is kind of debunking those 5-minute craft videos that you see.
Sure.
You know, where they're showing you how you can mix a bottle of Diet Coke and a container of yogurt, and in 2 minutes in the microwave, it becomes ice cream.
It doesn't?
But those are some of the videos she's been doing.
Oh, wow.
And she recently did a video on Pyrex and how it's become apparently all the rage for people to show themselves taking a hot Pyrex container and sticking it in cold water and seeing it explode. But it doesn't always. And some of it's made of borosilicate glass, and some of it's made of the
softer glass.
Yeah, the softer glass. And fascinating video. I'll link to it in the video description.
Okay.
No, how am I doing this? It's your turn.
I'll link to it.
You link to it. I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, there's all different kinds of glass
There is.
out there.
You can't combine them. They're called, it's a COE, coefficient of expansion, I think.
Okay, that would make sense.
I think. It's been so long.
Sure.
And
so when their temperature changes, they expand and shrink.
Yeah, they expand. Yep, different temperatures, different rates.
Okay, so you were taking this class. You took to it?
I took to it. Yes, I was. Well, first of all, I went into this class having spent the last month online looking at pictures and descriptions, and I went to a website called Lampworks Etc, and it was a message board, and they're so cool. They share all sorts of information with each other, and I just learned so much. And I went into this class, and I said, I want to learn how to do this, and I want to learn how to do this, and I was just so excited. And she kind of calmed me down, and she said,
"Walk before you're."
She's like, first of all, she's like, I really don't know how to do some of that.
Oh wow!
And then you know, she's like, we'll get to a lot of this otherwise. So yeah, we got to start with step one, and then go from there.
Wow.
So, and then as far as taking to it, that first week, I really could feel my skin itching to get back. It was like
skin was itching.
It was it was just anxiety or something that
poison ivy.
Maybe that was so weird that I wanted to get back to that torch so bad. It was really weird. So I was the only student in class that came that next week with my checkbook and said, "Send that torch home with me." And so I brought it home and would set it up in my kitchen at a little card table, and I would play. I had learned something in the first class, so I would play and just get the feel for the glass. And every week I would come in, and my instructor was just so blown away because I had learned that much more, and I had made these incredible beads that I thought were pretty incredible back then, which they pretty much were. And and I was just so excited about it. Yeah, humbly. So yeah.
So there's some, but okay. Prior to all of this, you've been an artist or been artistic all your life, right? So you had an eye and a design aesthetic that helps you in that respect.
Absolutely.
Because I can imagine people who see these beads and think, well, I want to do that, and I want it bad enough, I should be able to do it.
Right.
There's more to it than that, right?
Right.
Because I see things that I want to do, and I can't do it.
Right. There really is. I mean, I have an interior design background. And so my eye for scale and proportion, shape, color was there. So that transferred really nicely into bead making.
The class continues. You're doing homework now? Are you assigning
Yeah.
yourself homework every?
I'm just playing. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just playing.
And then week after week, you're showing up, bringing in beads you'd already made.
Blowing my instructor away.
And your instructor's like,
yeah.
Wow, I bet that was exciting for them.
It was. We became friends. It was really kind of fun. Yeah. And that last class, she also taught glass fusing and stained glass, which I had done before, but glass fusing I'd never done. And
what is it?
I'd always wanted to do it. It's where you take sheet glass, like stained glass sheets, and you cut it up however you want, and you pile them on top of each other, 2 or 3 layers.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
and then melt it. It fuses together. And you can make pendants and all sorts of things with this. And I'd always wanted to learn glass.
Does this also slump into...
You can slump stuff, yeah.
Slumping.
You can slump... Yeah, you can make big sheets of designs, designs, and then slump it into a bowl or whatever. But I'd always wanted to learn this.
Sure.
And so at the end of the class, the last day, I said, "Now I want to take your fusing class." And she says, "No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to take a class for at least another year because you're going to stick with this." And she saw something. My MO was to take a class and then go on to the next thing. I never perfected anything.
Yeah.
So 16 years later, here I am. Yeah.
So
still haven't taken a fusing class.
A popular thing on YouTube, you'll see people that are referred to as makers. Mm-hmm. It's very common now, I'm not faulting it, where instead of becoming a master at one thing, I want to learn enough about leather making to make a keychain or fob this week. And next week I'm on to welding, and then I want to do some woodworking. And maybe I combine those things at some point. Mm-hmm. And those folks are often called makers. Some of them are real masters at those things and also considered makers, which almost sells them short in some ways. But you are a maker because you brought to this some other skills.
Okay. Yeah.
And since then, you've also done some things beyond just making glass beads.
Right.
Not to denigrate glass bead making by calling it just glass beads, but you've begun incorporating metalworking into this. Mm-hmm. What was like the first thing you did where you combined glass and metal? Do you recall?
As far as making something other than a bead.
Other than a bead on its core.
Right. I would make, very early on, I was making glass handles for serving pieces, and I think I was making kaleidoscopes my first year or two. I found a company who does kits for woodworkers. And I'm like, that's got a hole going all the way through it. That's a bead. So I think I can do that. So I started making kaleidoscopes, and it's just gone on from there.
So there's a lot of companies that sell those kits for woodworkers.
Right.
Penn State Industries, Penn, Penn State Industries. Right. Also, you can get them at Rockler and Woodcraft stores as well. Yeah. But that will open your mind if you are thinking about making glass beads. It's so much more than beads, right?
Yeah. And there's a company, Karen Thomas Designs, who has product just for us bead makers. And she has the beautiful serving pieces.
So I should look at those and think about woodworking.
Sure. You certainly can. They're beautiful. Yeah. So there's some really, really nice pieces out there to work with.
Very cool. Now you did something else, and this kind of leads me to one of your most popular beads. You did something that was typically done with metal, but you were doing it with glass. You started electroplating.
Electroforming, it's called.
Well, okay. So
it's the same thing.
Get fancy with me.
It's the same thing.
What did you do? And what was the outcome? What prompted that line of thought for you?
When I was brand spanking new, I was part of a local group from the International ISGB. Glass Bead Makers Society. You don't know.
I don't know how to spell.
Anyway,
what was that last letter? Was it
ISGB, International Society of Glass Bead Makers.
Okay,
I know that. Go. And we had gotten together the Gathering, which is a yearly convention of glass bead makers, was happening in Minneapolis that year, 2007. I was brand new, and I was part of this group, and we all got together to do some things that were going to be needed to happen at the convention. And they said, we're going to electroform. So bring some beads to electroform. And I wasn't really sure how electroforming worked. And I had in my head, I want to make an acorn. And so I just made a bead that was round or oval shaped and learned that electroforming doesn't actually stick to the glass.
Right.
It actually has to encase the glass.
Or it'll fall off.
Or it'll fall off. So I couldn't just cap
Gotcha.
the round bead. It had to go beyond the round to where it starts tapering again. So those first acorns are really different looking than what I do now. So now...
Did you ever use like an actual acorn cap and glue a glass bead into it?
No, but there are some bead artists who do that.
Okay.
They electroform. I'm not the only electroformer.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, but no, the shape of my acorns with the cap and the body underneath is that shape, all glass.
Wow.
Yeah, so the electroforming cups that edge of the glass.
And so you're making the bead on the mandrel.
Mm-hmm.
What's on the tip of that? Is it closed on the tip?
It's closed. Absolutely closed.
So then you're building it on the end of the mandrel?
Yeah. So it has one hole, not two.
Watch you make one of these beads.
We've talked about what has one hole. It has one hole.
Okay. Does a straw have one hole?
Right. One or two. But this is the same thing. So yeah.
Okay. And then you form that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do the cap?
So the cap is formed with the glass. So that's the glass. And it's just magic. It's just magic. But the actual shape of the acorn with the cap is glass.
So you end up with a glass nut, an electroformed cap, and then there's a bail of some sort on that as well?
Yeah, it's a million part process.
Sounds like
but I epoxy in a loop. A copper loop. And that's what holds it in the electroforming.
So epoxy kind of sounds like cheating.
No. It's necessary. But electroforming doesn't stick to glass.
Okay.
Electroforming sticks to metal.
Okay.
So somebody, and I'm not really sure who came up with the process, and I should find out, came up with a metallic paint, an electric conducting paint.
Okay.
That you paint exactly where you want that electroforming to go.
And then that sticks to the paint, and then it builds up and becomes...
Builds up enough to become something.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So the difference between plating and electroforming, plating is just a really quick dip almost.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very, very thin layer. Electroforming builds up more mass.
And then this got your nerd husband involved in this, right? Didn't he work a little bit with tubs and batteries? You did?
I figured it out. No, there was so much information on the internet.
Yeah.
On Lampworks Etc. Tink Martin had a fantastic thread, question and answer thread for electroforming, and I learned so much there.
Good job, Tink.
I know. And Martin. She also had an ebook.
But Tink's female?
Tink is a female.
I'm picturing a different Tink altogether.
No, Tink is a female.
Oh, Tink Martin. Now I know who we're talking about.
But yeah, she had an ebook and had so much information. And so I bought the ebook, and I learned so much online from her. And then I bought a kit for electroforming at the gathering that year.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So now you're making acorns, which not just most people's favorite thing. It's one of my favorite things that you do. And you've been doing them for a long time, right?
Yeah.
But then you've gone from there to, well, you got a bird on right now, right? Mm-hmm. You're doing even more metal.
I am.
So take us there.
Silversmithing.
Silversmithing.
I always wanted to combine my glass with silversmithing. And I get very...
She's getting emotional.
I get very emotional.
And why is that?
Because it's my sister.
All right. So we'll pause here. I am luckily the middle of 5 kids, 2 older sisters, 2 younger sisters, of which she's one of the youngers. Our oldest sister passed away in 2017, but prior to that, also, by the way, incredibly artistic, she was doing silversmithing. In fact, she made for me my cuff. She asked me a few years before she passed, would there be anything that she could make for me I make, among other things, these wooden boxes called shaker oval boxes. And I sent her, well, first she had a box, but I sent her the actual form and the tacks that I use. And she made me a cuff in the style of these shaker boxes.
Yeah.
Really personal to me.
Yeah.
But she knew that you would be the perfect person to inherit her silversmithing gear, right?
She knew that was my next step. She was a huge cheerleader.
Yeah.
But yeah, she left me her studio.
So that was in Denver, and you brought it back to Credit River,
Minnesota. Kicked my son out and took his bedroom over. Didn't kick him out, but he was gone. So I took his bedroom over for a second studio in my house.
So two separate. These are different things.
Right.
Silversmithing
and glass. Yep.
I remember watching you begin this part of your journey and thinking, has she abandoned bead making altogether? Because one thing after another was you learning more and more about silversmithing. And then all of a sudden, everything seemed to combine. You were doing things with stone or glass and things that, not that an acorn suddenly had a silver cap on it or anything like that.
Which it doesn't, but yeah.
It does not.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about what you're doing in silversmithing now.
I had taken some of my beads that I had made probably 14, 15 years ago, and sliced them in half and made them cabochons, which is a flat back stone.
It's delicious, by the way.
Yes, a flat back stone that you then can make a setting around. So a silver setting around.
So on a setting, it's flat on one side, and then
the stone has a form or a depth to it. And so I was able to take some of my beads and do that with it.
Please tell me these were ones that had failed that you set aside because they were so beautiful.
No, they were beautiful beads. And I learned how to slice them in half and get two perfect, beautiful parts. So I will show some of that at the end, or we can just pop it up now, however that works.
It's already there.
Okay. Yeah. Actually found Jerry had purchased some beads from me.
Our sister.
Jerry, the sister. And I received all of her lampworking collection too, because she loved to collect lampwork beads from other artists. And I found some of the beads that she had purchased for me, and so those I've taken and made a few pieces.
That's really cool. Again, you can combine those two passions together.
Yeah.
You're posting things on Instagram. You've posted things for years on your website, and your website's changed over the years. But and then somebody was bugging the heck out of you to get a YouTube channel.
Somebody.
Have you done that?
I have started that.
Okay. You got a couple videos out there?
30-some.
Yeah. And so for people that already know how to make beads and want to learn your approach to certain beads, those videos are there, right?
They are there, and they're basically centered around using an electric mandrel spinner, which is my tool of choice. It's become my right hand, basically. So for people starting, they're having to spin a mandrel with a hand, torch in front, glass in hand, and you're able to do this. You're using your hand kind of as a clutch, but it's spinning battery powered? Battery powered.
Okay.
Yeah. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant tool.
At my age, I'm starting to feel a little bit of evidence of arthritis, and I could imagine if I were doing that, that would get a little rough after a while.
It would increase that arthritis.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. It's hard on the hands.
So you're using mandrel. Would you suggest somebody who is getting started that if they think they're going to continue as a mandrel, something you just put off, or is it something you do sooner than later?
The mandrel spinner.
Mandrel spinner.
Mandrel spinner. It just depends on the person and on their style of beads, because you do end up making, it spins in one direction or the other, but it's your beads end up looking very, oh gosh, it's so hard to say.
Lumpy?
Lumpy. No. we're going to cut that. But
No, not non-symmetrical.
No, they're very symmetrical because you're just working. It's like, you on a lathe with wood.
Yeah.
You're working in the round.
Yeah.
And it's very streaky, which I love, this streaky glass that I end up using. And until you stop, once you've got all your glass on your mandrel that you want, then you can stop using the spinner and start shaping with tools. I do that on the spinner as well. But
so if you wanted to flatten the bead,
right,
or make it square, you would stop spinning the mandrel and then somehow apply. You said you had different paddles.
There's molds and paddles and
okay.
Yeah. It's, stopping it and adding more glass to a lobe of a heart, or the shoulders of a heart, or
I guess as a woodworker, I see certain correlations. Like when somebody wants to get started, we would typically discourage them from buying a shop full of tools, because they're going to find later on, as they get down the road a ways, they really didn't need that bandsaw because they're not doing that style of woodworking, right? So this mandrel spinner seems to me to be something that, like a table saw, like every woodworker is going to find a use for it. Or
it's a great tool. It could be a frustrating tool if you don't know how to use it correctly, which is why I did the series of videos that I've put out. They're basically instructional videos on how to properly use the mandrel spinner.
You're not selling these.
I'm not selling
and you don't get an affiliate residual.
No.
Which
I just completely...
you ought to should, sis, but I get it. But you're doing this because you love the tool, you love the hobby, and you recommend this for some, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And okay, let's jump out of this and talk again just a little bit more about YouTube. Is it your intention to build some community there, or Facebook, or somewhere where you're having a two-way conversation? And
I would love that.
Somebody has a question, and hey, is a spinner right for me? I mean, is that the sort of thing you would like to
absolutely
provide back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I thoroughly enjoy interacting with people, helping people learn what they need to learn to make beads, and I've enjoyed teaching. It's been, something that felt really natural.
Because you've done things in workshops, and she's been featured in a few magazines. And have you ever been introduced or interviewed by a popular woodworking YouTuber before?
Not until today.
No, he's not coming. I'm sitting in.
Sure.
No, I mean you're an authority here. That's great. I'm glad to hear that you're open to take questions from people.
I thoroughly encourage it.
Provide guidance. All right, fantastic. So, do you see your channel changing in any way, or where do you see it going? I mean, you've done these 30-some videos now. What's
I've
next?
taught what I know. I don't have anything else. No. I want to make it interesting for people to watch.
Yeah.
And not just bead makers, but it's fascinating to watch somebody make something.
Sure. Yeah.
So I got to figure out how to record, how to tape, how to film videos the way that people can.
You're doing great. They're getting better. Your voiceovers are great. All right. Again, constructive feedback is always helpful.
Absolutely.
If I'm just going to nitpick, I'll show you how to block people. But I think you're doing a wonderful thing, and it's really, really cool. So whether it's within bead making, or selling your product, or putting yourself out there on YouTube, have you faced any challenges, any things that maybe are against your personality or your comfort zone?
The internet is making it easier to get out there and sell yourself.
Yeah.
That was something, having confidence in yourself to get out to galleries or get out to places to sell your product. So the internet has just made that, so much easier. And people from all over the world can find you. So that's been a good thing.
That's good.
For sure. YouTube is a challenge, and I've got some great mentors. that are helping me figure that one out.
What's the hardest part about YouTube? Or what? Maybe not the hardest, but what are some things that you find challenging?
Well, just the photography is, other than just placing my camera up above where I'm working, just finding really good angles and knowing what to include.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her comfort zone has been to be off the camera. I encourage her to be on the camera. So, again, looking for your comment down below what you think she should be doing. Should she be on camera or not? She should. All right. So we'll piece that somewhere in the video some point. Well, I think we are ready to wrap this up. Sis, thank you for spending some time with me. And I'm super proud of you. Couldn't be more proud. And look forward to where your channel's heading and where this venture is taking you. So thanks.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Pat.
Make a great day.
And there you go.
All right. Oh, no, I wasn't recording.